welcome to June. I am going to be walking you through a couple different watercolor techniques. You'll see that we already laid out June a little bit, and I didn't want to necessarily do a plan with me this month because I feel like there's so many people on YouTube doing that and they do such a wonderful job that I kind of wanted to lay it all out, give you kind of an overview in our time lapse of what I did. But I just wanted you to like see that we do other fun stuff in our planner, and I wanted to walk you through that. So one of the things I love to do is watercolor different things in my planner, and you'll notice like we're on vacation this last week of this month and I watercolored the entire thing because I'm not going to be writing anything down in my planner except maybe like journaling. But so in my planner I like to take my vacation weeks and I like to draw and watercolor them. So I'm going to show you a couple different things I love to do with watercolor and all the products that I actually use for watercoloring in my planner, and that way that I don't ruin my planner and stuff like that. So let's get going on the techniques and we will talk about all of the products and all that good stuff. So let's get going. Alright guys, so the best way I like to watercolor in my planner is with pencils. I use the Marvy watercolor pencils and the Crayola watercolor pencils. I will link everything in my Amazon store, so check that out if you want to find all of these. I also love the Marvy watercolor crayons, and they're very thin and they twist up and come out of the plastic part and they don't break off and they're not like regular crayons. And then I love these brushes that are kind of like water filler things, and then they have brushes on the end. I'll also add these to my Amazon store. Everything is Prime, so if you want to get them there, you can get them there. And obviously I use all of these, so I recommend all of them. So they come with a bunch of different brushes as well. So one of the things I love to do is just when I'm going to put the numbers in my calendar, I just kind of use the pencil to make a little bright circle or square, or I'll show you guys a flower in a little bit. And then I just kind of decorate. You can color in your squares. You can kind of do these watercolor flowers just wherever you want. So to make a watercolor flower, you just kind of do like round circles and kind of polka dots, but you don't let them touch each other. And then on the outside, you can kind of get some darker lines, and the more you play around with this, the more it'll make sense. And it'll also look much better when we do the water. So then I take another lighter color and I just kind of go on the inside of those, and that creates kind of a petaled look. And I'm just using the Marvy watercolors for this as well. And then I'm going to use the crayons to show you how those ones work. These are very smooth and they are actually more like crayon texture than the watercolor pencil, but they also work like watercolors as well. So I'm just going to do some fun leaves. I was just kind of decorating this page just to show you how you could kind of do a weekly spread if you're not going to be doing a ton of stuff or you don't need to write a lot in there. I love to mix up the colors, so I'm going to use this darker green and this lighter green. And obviously I go in and I color everything before I watercolor anything. That just saves me just a mess because I don't want to run my hand through any of the work that I've already done. So I'm also left-handed, so that makes a big difference. If you're left-handed, here's a tip: just turn your paper all the way to the side and you can write up and down. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do all of those, and then once I have my designs all kind of colored in, I'm just gonna take my watercolor brushes and go and kind of attack these. You don't want to go outside the lines too much, but you just kind of want to work the colors together and blend them in. And then, like I said, this pack of these watercolor pens come with a bunch of different ones, so you might need thicker or thinner depending on how big of a piece you're doing. Obviously, if you're doing like an art piece with these, you might want to use a bigger brush, but I love the little tiny brushes. And then you just kind of squeeze the bottle if you need more water to come out or not. And so the nice thing about these watercolor flowers is you just kind of run it all together, and then from far away they look like watercolor flowers, and you can do more or less. You don't have to do them all. And then I just go over these little blobs, and you'll see how it kind of picks that color up and just runs it into a blobby watercolor mess. And then for the vines, I'm just going to do the same thing. To keep the colors separated, I just work on one color kind of at a time, and then once I notice the colors disappearing, I'll go on to another color. Another fun thing to do is fill in the entire square just very lightly with a pigmented color. So I just kind of turn the pencil on the side and just kind of rub it and try not to get any super dark colors. And then you can also take a couple different colors to kind of blend it together and have kind of an ombre effect. And then I just run the water over it and it kind of just makes it a little bit pigmented. This is really fun to do in your negative space or just to fill in a nice vacation spot like we did. I did this kind of technique for the sky for Puerto Vallarta and it turns out really good and you have a lot of room to work with. You don't have to be super artistic with it. And once everything is nice and dry, I like to use my Marvy black pens to go over everything and write in what I like to do. The reason I love watercolor is it's not overbearing and you can decorate the background as much as you want and you can really still see the black marker on top of it. So it's just super fun to kind of give yourself a good base to work with and then you can go in and write whatever you want to write. I do love these Marvy pens. You guys can check them out in my last Plan With Me video. I talked about all of the pens that I use, and these are my go-to. I still use them today, and I really, really love them. And once I've used my pen to write exactly what I want, when I'm done decorating with my pen, I'll go in and I'll watercolor the letters as well. This is one of my go-to fonts. I just love it. You kind of start with a rectangle and then you do the letters around it. If you guys want more detail on any of the lettering that I do or my go-to favorite things, let me know. So this is a really fun and easy way to spruce up a letter is you just kind of use a line of color on one side and then you just watercolor it in and it gives it a natural shading look, and I just love that look once it's all done. And I loved how this spring page turned out because it was so much, it's so cute. And you'll notice that sometimes I'll mix the colors together because I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to use more than one brush, but it does give it kind of a fun effect. You can also go over any letters that you do like this and then watercolor them and it'll just kind of give it a shade. A trick is to just kind of go on all the same sides. So if you're doing the left side, do the left side. If you're doing the right side, do the right side. Obviously I didn't do that for this. I did kind of just like random little spots for the S, but I think it turned out pretty cute. And then another technique is to do each letter a little different, or to make kind of an ombre effect. You can do one word with one color and then just kind of gradually move on to darker colors, and when you watercolor it, it will kind of give it an entire ombre effect or fading effect. So this one I actually ended with yellow just to kind of see if it would look kind of cool if it faded to a completely different color at the end. I wasn't sure, but it's always fun to just kind of play around, and you can never really go wrong with watercolor. It just kind of always works out, it seems like. So I just love to really get experimental with my watercolors because I feel like the more that I do, the more confident I get with it, and it just really boosts my confidence in my drawing levels because I can really make mistakes and it doesn't really matter because it always looks good. And then if you write something that you're just really not feeling or it bleeds, go ahead and use a sticker that I have created. These are watercolor flowers and they kind of just blend in. So I just covered that up because I did not like how it turned out. And there's always room for error when you're bullet journaling.